Steph Gingrich? Is that how you say it? Yeah, that's right.
So, Life is Strange True Colours has proven a standout addition to the Life is Strange universe, with fans adoring main protagonist Alex Chen and the entire cast of characters in Haven Springs. But one character in particular shone just a little bit brighter, thanks to players already being introduced to her in Life is Strange Before the Storm. And now she's getting her very own DLC chapter, Wavelengths, which launches tomorrow and follows a year in Steph Gingrich's life before Alex arrives in Haven Springs. I spoke to the voice and performance capture artist behind Steph Gingrich, Katy Bentz, and senior narrative director at Deck 9, Mallory Littleton, about what it meant to bring Steph to life and invite players fully into her world. We talk about everything from who Katy was originally supposed to play in Before the Storm, to the importance of Steph's LGBTQ plus representation, and please note my extremely intentional Steph cosplay. Such a dork. Enjoy!
I think I'll love it.
As a woman-loving woman who is unapologetically nerdy, who unapologetically takes up space, I think it's very obvious why she's resonated with the community, because I think a lot of people in the LIS community, which is one of the best communities there is, probably see themselves reflected in her.
Yeah, 100%. Just being a streamer and having a community that is very much created from the LIS community and seeing all of them connect to all of these characters, especially Steph. I hear it a lot, how much, and I've gotten letters before, it's just the most amazing thing. People saying, you know, I saw myself in Steph and she helped me really realize who I was and what direction I wanted to take my life and how comfortable I was with myself. And I think that is just so, so, so special. And I hold all of that like so close to my heart.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think you got it dead on. And yeah, it really is such a privilege to work in such a powerful property that has a robust community and people talk so much about the characters they like and we can really see, like certain people will tell us that they learned about themselves because of a character, and that's just really, really special.
What were you both most excited about coming to this project after working on Before the Storm?
Yeah, personally, for me, just being able to explore Steph more as an actor. Every scene that I got on set was just phenomenally written. And it was great material for me as an actor because I feel like it starts off with that. You know, if you have a great script, if you have great lines, it's just easier to be able to connect with that character. And so every time I got a script, it just fit naturally. You know what I mean? Just like saying the words just made sense for myself and it made sense for Steph. And so as an actor, it was really easy for me to be able to take what they've given me and then help create the character and bring her to life through the acting.
For our side, I think we were just super excited to kind of pioneer our own story. Working on Before the Storm was such a blast, but it's really unique to get to create your own characters in your own setting and go kind of whatever direction you want with it. And so yeah, we were really excited about that. And you know, Steph is one of few characters from Before the Storm that we kind of got to create. And so getting to bring her back in our own story was just super exciting and really fun.
I think it really is fitting in that sense that Steph is kind of the one character to take everything forward because she kind of embodied everything that was great about Before the Storm that Deck 9 kind of brought to the table to Life is Strange as a whole. Like I love Life is Strange 1 and 2, but for me, Before the Storm and now True Colours are an evolution of what was first put on the table. I think it's just so fitting that she's the one to carry it forward. But I wonder, Katy, do you remember like the audition process for her?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I actually did not audition for Steph, which is just hilarious to see
where
we're sitting now. Yeah, I didn't. I actually auditioned for Samantha in Before the Storm. Yeah, and I didn't hear about Steph until they called me back in. Web had called me back in to voice or to do an audition for Steph, and then I did it, and then they gave me that role. So I don't know. I think just talking with Web, you know, they they liked the sound of my voice, and they thought that it fit well with Steph, and they were like, okay, cool. And yeah, it was awesome. So I went in and did the audition for Samantha, and then came back to the audition for Steph, and rest is history.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Mal, do you remember what, from your side, what you guys were looking for in Steph that you saw?
When we kind of conceived of the character, she felt really like kind of fully formed right off the bat, faster than some of our other characters did. And she was just cool and so confident. Like you said, she isn't afraid to take up space. And yeah, we were looking for someone who had a unique voice and could really carry that confidence, but at the same time, not be so cool that she couldn't be dorky and do the nerd stuff at the same time. And Katy just was it. It was like Webb said, come back and audition for Steph. Like, we just knew.
The more people, oh shit, sorry, it's my doorbell. I think the more people that I talk to about True Colours, because I've already spoken with Felice and Erica, both amazing. It really sounds like it was a proper collaborative process between the narrative team and the voice actors. Would that be right to say?
Absolutely. And I think the full performance capture gave a lot to that process, because for the first time we had the actors in the same room together actually playing off of one another, and we could have the writers in the room, and if Erica or Katy had questions, and they always had questions, the best questions, we could talk about a line and talk about what it meant, and sometimes we did make hot changes and tweaked it until it really felt right. And that was a process that yeah, Katy and Erica really drove, and it was super, super fun. And I think the product really shows how collaborative that got to be.
So when did you both know that there was going to be a Steph-centric DLC?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I got the email back in like October, December of 2018.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was a while ago. And it just goes to show you, the games take so long. There's so much work that goes into video games. We're working on these for so long. So yeah, I knew she was going to be back, but I didn't know in what aspect and how much. I just kind of thought she was going to be a little cameo. And then, it developed into a DLC.
Gosh, we really wanted to bring Steph back. And it almost kind of started as like a little bit of a running joke that whenever we needed a character in the story, we're like, but it's just Steph. It was super fun when we actually realized that there totally was a place in the story that not only was like a space that Steph could fill, but a space that uniquely Steph could fill. And then from there, once we were approached about making a DLC, it seemed so obvious to us that it had to be Steph. Fans just liked her so much, and it's kind of weird to see her go from Arcadia Bay all the way to this tiny mountain town, and we wanted to explore sort of how and why that happened. And she's a DJ and like a drummer and just so cool and fun, and we all wanted to spend more time writing Steph, and so yeah, it developed into the DLC.
So once you decide, okay, this is going to be Steph DLC, how did you then sit down and decide these are the things that we want to explore with Steph's character?
Yeah, it for us spanned out of a lot of the questions that we kind of had ourselves in terms of, right, how did she get to Haven Springs? Why here, of all places? How did what happened in Arcadia Bay affect Steph and shape her as a person? And we wanted to look at those questions in more depth, and yeah, spending a whole year with her prior to the beginning of True Colours and really getting into her head and getting into the meat of that journey is what it was really all about for us.
It's so weird until you literally just said that. I didn't even think that the end, like, of Life is Strange season 1, of course, Steph was there probably, or that she would have been like emotionally involved in that. And now I'm like, oh, this is much bigger than I thought now. That's awesome. Katy, how about you? Was there anything when you were coming on to do the DLC that there was aspects of Steph's character that you were really keen to explore?
Yeah, just being able to, in True Colours, being able to receive the scripts and seeing that there was more emotions that were going to be able to be developed. And then obviously with Wavelengths, it's just a whole arc, it's a whole character arc. you get to see Steph in the very beginning, get this job and kind of feel a little bit like uncomfortable and awkward at first because she's just getting her bearings. She's trying to, she just kind of fakes it until she makes it.
Yeah.
And, and we get to see over, the whole course of that year, her just really like get comfortable in the shoes that she's created for herself there. So I think that's really fun, just as an actor too, to explore all of those different emotions. And I think the player will be able to feel those as well while they're playing as Steph.
So funny, because it was literally the next question I was going to ask you was, so I've seen the 15-minute clip, and yeah, it's Steph like being very unsure of herself as a DJ. Is it hard as a voice actor to play a character who's still finding their voise as an actor? Like that must be really weird.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. And like, finding her voice, I think, obviously like when I was doing her in BTS and then coming back and realizing like how would she sound differently, and hoping it brings it justice to her in BTS. But this one, it's just a little bit awkward, and it was nice to be able to have the direction of Web being like, okay, she's not quite sure what's going on. She's still a little bit uncomfortable. And then, we shift to another place. She's like, okay, she's got it now. So, and the direction behind it was really, really great. But yeah, it's interesting, especially being an actor and listening to it and being like, oh my gosh, she sounds so awkward. And I'm like, well, no, she's supposed to be awkward. Like she doesn't know what's going on. And so it's cool. And I think that it's just going to allow the player to feel what Steph is feeling even more. And I think that's what that's what we want to do here, is we want people to be Steph.
Yeah.
And feel every single part of her emotions and her insecurities and her excitement and her fears and worries, just everything.
Well, it's a really cool opportunity as well, because I think one of the things that people love about Steph is that she's so ultra confident, but that's obviously the image that she projects into the world. And now with this DLC, you finally get to hear what she's actually thinking. Was there a conscious effort both on the part of both of you, I suppose, to write and voice her in a different way in her internal monologue?
Yeah, writing the VO lines for Steph. It was an interesting transition coming off of writing Alex's VO lines, because they're very different people. And we we really did spend a lot of time trying to like drill down and nail down what that internal kind of monologue voice is, because you're right, that sort of confidence projected into the world, it's not inauthentic. I think Steph still is a very confident person, but inside your own head, everyone's a little bit different. And so, we really spent a lot of time talking about and trying out different lines and figuring out why this one was working and that one kind of quite wasn't. It was a really fun process for us.
How about you, Katy? Voicing her as kind of like a little bit, was she more subdued to voice like her internal lines?
Yeah, I mean, with exactly. With the internal monologues, they're always going to sound a little bit different. They're going to be a little bit, more like even, tone and just kind of like her thought process. But I think like you'll see when you play Wavelengths, she still jokes around with herself. She's in a record booth in a studio like by herself, right? And she has to figure out how to be alone with herself. And you get to experience that too, which is kind of cool with, being in the pandemic. A lot of people have been alone and isolated. And so you get to go through this entire situation with these Steph figuring out how to be by yourself. And
I was literally going to say as well, as a Twitch streamer, you know how it is to fill like lots and lots of time like talking to yourself.
Exactly, right? And it's funny too, as a streamer and coming in here and being a DJ and being able to take calls and it's cool. It's a really interesting crossover. It's very interesting. There's a lot of different crossovers with myself and Steph, so
nice.
It's made it fun. Yeah.
So I've seen about 15 minutes of Wavelengths. I'm assuming the first 15 minutes, and it's probably some of the most unapologetically queer gaming that I've seen for a long time. I absolutely love it. It's like lo-fi queer aesthetic that I think is even more important in a way. And like I can't wait for people to see that, because it's like, it's just something a bit different. And I think that's another of the reasons that Steph's character is so important. And understandably, in the main game, there can only be so much room given to queer culture, but in this DLC, it feels like it's more center stage. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the only thing that's interesting about Steph.
Of course.
The most interesting thing, but it is a big part of who she is. And, you know, we have a number of queer devs on the staff at Deck 9, and, you know, that it really is a community. Like, the LGBT community is called that for a reason. And there's a lot of, I think, shared experiences in there, in that culture, that we just don't really get to see very often. And so, yeah, like littering that in wherever we could, because it was important to Steph, was important to us too.
Yeah, it was really nice to see it, like even just how Steph describes herself, like how she sort of navigates the world. Like it was just, yeah, it was really cool to see. But the response to the community, like the response from the community to the game has been incredible. Like I've seen so many tattoos, I've seen like gorgeous art. What's been both of your individual favorite responses to the game so far?
Just people being able to connect with a character, no matter what character it is. I think that the game has a beautiful arc for even the NPCs that, you know, you get to walk by and listen to their thoughts. I mean, there's so many different experiences. But yeah, I mean, there's somebody there you can connect with, and I've seen that all around Twitter. And I think it's just amazing. That just shows that, you know, it's got really good narrative and writing and all of that.
Awesome. I can't wait to play. It's going to be really good, I'm sure.
So your friend said you quit your band to be here. Can I ask why?
I'm just trying to, you know, do something cool, something I can really get into.